Hello, welcome to the Healthy Alternatives podcast. I am Dr. Christine Sauer with DocChristine.com. Today's show is a recording of my radio show of the same name. Enjoy! Good afternoon, this is Dr. Christine Sauer, your host of the show Healthy Alternatives here on 97.5 CIOE FM with live stream on communityradio.ca every Thursday at 12 noon Atlantic Standard Time. Thanks for tuning in today. In this show, I will talk mostly with guests about all aspects of health, healthcare and wellness, from conventional to alternative and everything in between. My mission for this radio show is to help change people's lives for the better by informing them about different options to get and stay healthy and well so they can choose for themselves which option might work in their case. And if you feel you're stuck in a dark place, I want to tell you, don't give up. There's a light at the end of the tunnel for you too. Today, I'm extremely pleased to be with my friend Brian Murray. Brian is a 45-year resident of Hammonds Plains, which is a suburb of Halifax, a local farmer of grass-fed beef, free-range eggs, and certified free-range chickens. And he's actually the closest farm to Halifax Metro, right?
Correct.
Wow. Tell us a little bit about why you became a farmer.
Sure. About 30 years ago, I was a service tech for Makita Power Tools, and I was saying, this is a boring life. I cannot see me doing this for another 30 years. My wife wanted to keep the farm going, and I kind of got involved with it. And farming is one of those things that once it gets in your blood, you just can't get it out. So it evolved for years. I worked full-time at Makita and then full-time at the farm for 7 years. And then eventually I left Makita Power Tools and done farming full-time and evolved it into what we have today.
Now, when you started farming, were the cows grass-fed or conventional fed?
No, when we first started, we kind of took it over from my wife's father, and he used to actually feed stale bread to the cows. And everybody loved that. It was cheap feed. It looked after getting rid of that product from the bakery. So anyhow, it made great beef. Everybody loved the taste of it and so forth. As we became more educated, we said, well, maybe we'll just feed grain instead of beef. So we kind of tried a little bit of that, and it worked all right. Then we had one of our suppliers said, you should try hay leach, which is just regular hay that's only dried one day instead of 2, and wrapped in the big white wraps. Looks like the marshmallows. And I said, okay, well, we'll try that. And we ended up having grass-fed beef. And it turned out that our cattle done way better on the hay leach than they were doing on hay and grain. So we ended up having a higher quality product and a healthier product, and we never looked back.
That is wonderful, and I love what you do, and we'll talk more about the farms and benefit of grass-fed beef and pastured chicken or free-range chicken for your health in the next show that we're taping. But I remember when I met you first a few years ago, you were a big guy.
Yeah, I was probably 300 plus at that time.
And when people, they can't see you, but when they look at you now, they say, oh my God, he shrunk. What happened?
Yes, I'm down to around 182 pounds now. I've lost close to 40% of my body weight most of it in the last 7 months. The reason being that I was always, even though I was heavy, I could always work at the farm. I always cleaned the cows out. I always did everything I had to do. Didn't have any real health issues. And then about a year and a half ago, I went to the doctor and she done my blood glucose average, HA01C. And she said, oh, Brian, you should probably be taking pills now. You're up to 7.1, and I was always 4.8. So I said, okay, I'm not really too sure about doing that. And because I had a father who had type 2 diabetes, lost a limb, had lasers on his eyes, was on dialysis. He had all the classic problems of somebody that was a type 2 diabetic for many years. And I really didn't want to go in that direction. So a friend of mine was going to the gyms in the fall, and I decided, well, maybe I'm going to start doing this and see what I can do. My research told me that I have to find a sustainable lifestyle, not a diet. Diet's a bad word. You have to find a way of living that you can sustain for the rest of your life. What you will want to eat, not want to eat, and so forth.
I find that very interesting, that everything really starts with your decision to do the research, and I know you're a researcher, you're an avid researcher, you're really good in finding out what works and what doesn't work. And basically, when I get that right, you became your own research study.
That's exactly what I did. And I have an online memoir that I do at least weekly about all what I've lost, how it affected me, how I felt, how it affected my thinking, hormones, the amount of weight I lost at certain times, and my energy levels. And it's what I do. I enjoy doing this. And it's been quite a journey. And I'm hoping that I will continue with this. I still have another 15 pounds or so that I want to lose. And then the maintenance will simply be eating more of what I eat now, which is sustainable, because I did not cut any of the food groups totally out. And I tell people say, well, geez, Brian, what can you eat? You can't be eating hardly anything. I said, I can eat anything I want to eat, and I do. Some things I won't eat because they're just bad habits, and I don't want to get in the habit, but anything that I enjoy that might be fattening or so forth, I would still eat that occasionally, but I would take that in consideration of everything else I eat that day, and possibly even the next day because of that. So I still get to enjoy myself and do what I want, and this is the way that it should be. You should not be starving yourself and saying, oh my Lord, as soon as we're done this diet, I'm going to be able to eat some more of these foods and so forth. You got to have it in your head that this is a lifestyle for life, and you will just stick with it.
And I feel often with myself and my clients, in the beginning it's really hard, because you have to make every day the decision, do I have that ice cream cone, or does it serve me, or doesn't it serve what I really want to do in life? And some people just slip up, get the excuse, and just have the ice cream, and a little bit won't hurt, they think, and then they have the whole Sunday.
Yes, that's true. I always say, like I smoked at one time. People say it's hard to quit smoking, it's very addictive and so forth, and it is very addictive, very hard to quit. The difference with smoking is eventually it goes away. You do not think about it near as much as you used to think about it. So it's not on your mind. In my mind, the hardest one to do is to lose weight and keep the weight off, because it's something that you have to think about 24 hours a day whenever you're going to eat, and you have to do this for life. And it will always be like that. And if you do not think that way, it's only a matter of time until you'll say, well, yeah, just maybe that little bit of ice cream, like you say, or just we'll have this extra drink here, or we'll do this. And my research has told me that most of the people who are successful at keeping the weight off, which is about 5% of the people who lose the weight, are people who count calories and weigh themselves regularly. So it makes you accountable for yourself.
Yes.
And people a lot of times don't want to do that because it's easy just to turn the blind eye. But that's what you have to do, and it's a lot easier to lose 2 or 3 pounds if you put it on than it is to lose 113 pounds. So hopefully that's the way it'll work.
And that's wonderful. And I really love that you do the research and made the decision and make good decisions every day. And in the end, I think what happens, you don't want the things that will hurt you because you know how you feel after you eat them when you actually try it. And that makes it a big, big, big difference. I always say the war for your health starts between your ears. And you have to make a decision, and you have to make good decisions every day. And without getting yourself healthy, you won't do it.
People have to keep themselves motivated. They got to keep going in the right direction. And I actually work with a couple of people who I know, and I say, call me if the motivation is not, if you're losing your motivation, because some people just need somebody to hold their hand.
Exactly. Or sometimes when I have clients and I tell them, before you want that ice cream sundae, call me.
Right.
And then I tell you whether you can have it or not. And most of the time I don't get the call because they said, I have to call her before I have it. Maybe I shouldn't have it. And it makes it easier to make the smart decision in the beginning. After a while, it becomes more and more habit.
I agree. It's habit. Going to the gym. I go to the gym. I'm a little fanatical, more than most people. I go 6 days a week, 2.5 hours a day. But
that is a lot, yeah.
Well, it is, and it's. I enjoy it. I enjoy the social aspect. I enjoy the benefits that I get from it, and it's just kind of what you do.
Yes, and you have to do your research that way too, because not every exercise fits every person. And some people thrive on aerobic exercise, go for walks. Some people need strength training, and really everybody needs in some way strength training. Some people like group sports, play table tennis. I really wouldn't recommend contact sports where your brain gets damaged. And the worst of it is ultimate fighting, which I absolutely hate. I think it shouldn't be even allowed.
To each their own, whatever people enjoy.
As long as our health system has to pay for people voluntarily injuring themselves, I'm not too much of a fan from it. But we do that all the time.
I understand it.
We injure ourselves with food too, so.
Correct.
And I'm very much looking forward in the second half of the show to talk more with you about how you actually go day by day losing the weight and how you plan on keeping it off, because that's, as you said, the hardest part. And please tune in after the commercial break for more with Brian Murray about weight loss. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to Healthy Alternatives here on 97.5 CIOE FM or on the web at communityradio.ca. I'm your host, Dr. Christine Sauer, and today I'm talking with my friend Brian Murray. And we talked in the first half about his story of being a farmer, and then a year ago, not quite, 7 months ago, to making the decision, and I think it was a decision long coming because you did research for years before that, to change your lifestyle. So you didn't make the decision to lose weight per se.
No, you wake up one morning, and I'm 59 years old, and I'm saying, you're going to do something, or you're going to do nothing. Mm-hmm. You will continue just doing what you do, or you will try and make a change. Luckily for me, I suspect, is I decided that I was going to make a change. And I was going to change my lifestyle and hopefully become a healthier person in the process.
Now you lost over 100 pounds in the process in the last just 7 months. And tell our readers a little bit about your inspirational story and how you actually do it. How do you live every day?
Well, I just keep myself busy. I go to the gym. I have fun with it. I enjoy the people that are there. It's a great time, and it gives me motivation to keep me going forward. I go to my doctor every 3 months, and I have blood work done, and my blood work has just been getting way, way better. It wasn't that it was real bad, except for my sugar, which was getting up there. But everything that should be down is down, and everything that should be up is up, and that is just a great feeling to know that you have taken a responsibility for yourself, and it has made a difference. Because when I first had my blood test done, after I went for a couple of months to the gym and cut my diet a little bit, it didn't really change much. And I said, I'm honestly doing this, not doing as hard as I'm doing now, but I said, if this doesn't change, I really think that I'm wasting my time. But lucky for me, I persevered. I put another 3 months into it and just kept at it. And when I went to the doctor, and the doctor says, Brian, I know why your HbA1c is down now, is because you lost a bunch of weight. I said, yeah, I probably lost 50 pounds. And she said, and that's great. And she said, you're going. So this all kept me motivated doing this. So what I do is I researched food. I researched what I can eat, what I can't eat, what I like, what I don't like. How can I get the proper macronutrients into me? Figure out what percentages that I'd like to have of fats, proteins, carbohydrates. Not so much to lose weight quickly, but more that it can be sustainable for the rest of my life.
And that is so important. I always say everybody has to be their own researcher, their own research project, and find something that works for them on the long run.
Everybody is different, and what works for me might not work for somebody else. Most things can be fine-tuned.
What worked for you?
What worked for me is right now, what I'm doing is I'm doing about 45% protein, 35% carbohydrates, and about 20% fats. This is to me a sustainable diet because you didn't cut carbohydrates out altogether. I did cut some things out of my diet that I will introduce to a lesser degree than I used to. Now I do not eat potatoes, rice, pasta, or bread. So I took the starches basically out of my diet. And one of the reasons is, or the main reason is it drives your sugar up. It increases your glucose. The
insulin levels. And we talked about that before, how harmful a high insulin level is for your general health, and it makes you fat. It's a growth hormone.
Yes, absolutely. And the interesting thing is we have two issues here. We have insulin and we have glucose. One thing that drives up insulin, but not so much with your glucose, is dairy. And people don't realize that, the dairy products are making your pancreas produce insulin like crazy, which is causing you to have more insulin resistance. And the more insulin you produce, the better chances are that you're going to store fat, because insulin's a fat-storing hormone. for later days when it's feast or famine. The problem is today we don't have famine anymore. We only have feast. So that led me into a direction of doing intermittent fasting, which is an interesting topic. It's and one of the gurus of it is a doctor from Toronto who has written quite a few books onto it and so forth. So what I do now is I fast for 20 hours a day. My normal eating window is from 4 to 8 o'clock. And you can eat basically the same amount of calories, if you so choose, that you eat all day long. But you will not have your pancreas producing insulin for 18 or 20 hours a day to counteract the food that's being put into your system. So you are making yourself healthier. You are giving your pancreas a break. You are making yourself less insulin resistant, and less insulin flowing around your system. It means you will be less prone to putting fat on, which is what we're trying to do anyway.
And that's a great point, because the insulin resistant is a problem of type 2 diabetes. And when you just give them insulin, it will put more glucose in the cells, but it will increase your insulin level by exogenous insulin so much that you really have no chance of getting more. You get hungry, you eat more and more and more. So that's a great thing to do.
Insulin is great for type 1 diabetics. It's a needed thing. They have to have it. Type 2, it's the easy cure that's sending you down the wrong path. And it's unfortunate that that's where it's going, but they don't have any other answer if people will not pay attention to their diets. What I do as well is I do usually once a week to once a month, I'll do an extended fast. And the extended fast will do basically the same thing. It will put your body into a fat-burning mode. After 1 to 2 days, your body starts getting to a fat-burning mode. So you are literally doing what you were supposed to be doing forever. Store up your fat when you have all kinds of food, so that when you don't have food, you can burn the fat.
Exactly, and that's what in our history, millions of years ago, that was life was. We didn't go to the supermarket every day and had 3 or 4 meals a day. We ate when food was available, and then we had to hunt for it again, which involves movement, exercise, and fasting while you're hunting because you have nothing to eat.
And it's very interesting that you bring that up, that what happens is when you start burning fat, you don't lose all your energy.
Oh, no.
The body is smart enough to realize that you can't hunt for more food if you have no energy and you have no brain function.
No.
People don't realize you do not have to eat all day long. No. You don't even have to eat for days if you don't want to, as long as you are still putting your water into you and your electrolytes into you. People are used to our way of life, and it's unfortunate because it's making us unhealthy.
Yeah, not for nothing is standard American diet. The abbreviation is SAD, because it is sad to watch people's demise that is brought on by some big corporation profits and false information, and then they get addicted and think they can't stop.
The Canadian and American food guide was manipulated by big corporations forever. This is facts. This is part of my research as well. Yeah. They've been telling you things for years, and it's all based on money. It's all about, it's a North American way. It's called money, money, money. How can we make more money? There is actually a new food guide coming out in Canada sometime soon, and there's going to be apparently some real big changes. And it's not going to be very popular with some of the food producers in North America, but I think they're finally realizing that health should be paramount to going and
having more profit.
Having more profit for the big
And
corporations.
I hope they do change it, because as I always say, food quality is way more important than food quantity. And as you say, we have to have government support for the small farmers and organic farmers that don't produce spoiled or bad food that's bad for our health.
The foods that are inexpensive to eat are the foods that are not good for you.
That's a problem, and we should change it, and that's a government thing.
And that's where we're running into the problems. People have a limited budget. They go to the grocery store and they look and they say, we can fill Johnny up with this food, or we can feed him this healthy food, and it's going to cost us twice as much, and he's still going to be hungry.
And if you do it like you do with intermittent fasting, actually the food quantity doesn't have to be so much, and it doesn't have to be much more expensive or at all more expensive than if you load yourself up with cheap food all the time. And I think that brings me to the end of today's show. Thank you very much for being on the show today. And please don't hesitate to contact me with any questions, thoughts, comments, or suggestions. If you'd like to contact Brian to be inspired by him, my email here is christine@communityradio.ca, and I'm always grateful for any feedback. I also want to extend a special thank you to today's producer, Seth Glasgow. Thank you all for listening to Healthy Alternatives. I'm your host, Dr. Christine Sauer. Tune in next Thursday at noon on 97.5 CIOE FM Community Radio with live stream on communityradio.ca for the next episode. Goodbye and have a great day.